All right, so I'm starting this podcast off laughing because I'm getting Lois Arterberry's name correct. I've been saying Lois for the past couple of weeks, and so now the correct name is pronunciation is Lois
Yes.
Arterberry. So Lois Arterberry is the University of Minnesota's women's tennis coach. She is a three-time SWAC, Southwestern Athletic Conference champion at Southern University, and the first Black uh, woman or first Black coach at the University of Minnesota in 22 years, and third overall in school history. And she's been at University of St. Thomas for 2 years prior to taking the position at the University of Minnesota. So, Lois, welcome to Twin Cities Leaders.
Yes, thank you for having me. You can call me Lo for short.
Look, look, now I'm gonna get it right first, and then I go with low. Now look, I was just reading this, and I was saying to myself, like, wow, like, okay, you're the first Black head coach in U of M in the past 22 years, third overall in school history. Does that does that mean anything to you, or does that make you feel some kind of way when you hear people say that about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel proud. Um, this is an opportunity that I've been longing for a really long time, and I feel like representation, of course, like it really matters, and um, it may have had a part to play in me being able to land this job, but I am really excited to be here nonetheless, and yeah.
I want to have this conversation with you. Both of us are tennis coaches. I'm a high school girls and boys tennis coach at Woodbury High School. The C team, our freshman team, which our season just ended, by the way, on Friday.
Yep.
And the girls had a really good season. They had fun. They got better. Some of them were, it was their first time playing tennis. Others have been playing for a while, but it ended really well. So I wanted to start off by just talking about like our first day experiences.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started coaching the girls tennis team a year ago in 2024. And my first practice, I was like, man, like, what am I going to say to them?
Mhm.
Are they going to respond to these drills? Like, I had never coached before. I had taken
Yeah.
tennis lessons before, and I'd been playing for a while.
Yeah.
But I just remember saying, "Okay, I know how to build culture, but I wanna make it fun. I want them to be able to learn and have fun at the same time, and really build a culture where it's like a community within our
Yeah.
team."
Yeah.
What was it like for you? Let's go back 3 years ago when you got the job at U of M. What was
Yeah.
day 1 like for you?
I got this job in June, and of course, most of the girls were already away for the summer. So, when I got the job, there were three girls returning on the team, and then two girls that were recruited to come in. So, I mean, day one on the job, I was already on the road recruiting. So let's just start there. But of course, like I had a conversation with the players. As soon as I got the job, we did like a group call or group Zoom call. So that was my first opportunity meeting them because they were all from all over the country, from all over the world. So we got to talk on Zoom, and then for me, building relationship with the athletes is super important. So I felt like I was recruiting those girls like from the beginning, if that makes sense. Even though some of them were already here at the U, I felt like it was like I found myself doing the same thing I would do with a recruit, which was call, check on them, and just kind of like build that connection with them before even getting to see them in September. So for me, like day one, when everyone was here, and I had recruited two other players to join the team that fall. Day one for me, I felt like I already knew them, if that makes sense. And that was
Mhm.
because I felt, well, I did the work in the summer of just, checking in on them. Hey, how are you going? How are you doing? How's your tournament schedule? Like having those type of conversations with them prior to coming here. So, and like you and I had to sit down, and I was telling you, it's all about planning, like in terms of practicing and that type of stuff. So going in already, having the plan set for what practice is going to look like for that day, for that week, for that month, is really, really important, especially at this level. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's once I had figured that out, because was we have 90-minute practices, and I was like, "Okay, man, like, how am I going to,
Yeah,
teach these girls for 90 minutes?" But I just remember, we hit so many forehands and backhands. I was like, "If you don't know how to hit a forehand and backhand, you can't play tennis." Like, so, we're gonna do a lot of that, and we
yeah,
started there, and a lot of cone work, and
yeah.
and and they got on to they caught on, quickly.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, we do the same even at this level, right? So you got to be able to hit a forehand and got to be able to hit a backhand. That's the foundation of it. So yeah, we still do
Absolutely.
that.
So let's go back when you were, even before you were at Southern. Like, how did you get introduced to tennis? And then when did you decide you wanted to be a professional tennis coach?
Yeah, so I always say that the sport chose me. Tennis, I knew nothing really about tennis growing up. I'm from Grenada, which is a small island in the Caribbean. And of course, a lot of the Caribbean islands, the focus is usually on track and field or soccer, sports like that. And so I actually was doing track and field at the time and really competitive, just, natural athlete. And we have the way it works in Grenada, there's like one head coach for the entire country. And so he came to our elementary school, or we call it primary school, to introduce the sport. And I remember my class teacher at the time, she's like, you should go try tennis. Like, and I'm like, okay, sure. Like I said, because I was athletic and I can do everything else. So they're like, go try tennis. So it was 20 girls that started off tennis with me. So he would come during the PE period and we'll do tennis. And then if you wanted, you can go to the after school program. And I tried it for a few days and yeah, that was fun. And then I remember competing in our first like inter-primary school competition and I won. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this. That's the competitive side, of course.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, and so that's kind of how I started. And out of those 20 girls, I was the only one to continue playing. So for me, that's why I said the sport chose me. I never thought that I would be where I am today. I could have never um, seen this coming. So it's obviously a great opportunity that from where I started to where I am now, going through the collegiate realm. I once I was done with college, I'm like, wow, I really enjoyed the competitive side of the sport. And even as a junior back in Grenada, I started my first tennis academy at age 16. And so I knew I wanted to coach too. So I was like, okay, I'm done with college. I want to get into the coaching world. And that's kind of where my journey jump started as a graduate assistant at Southern.
Okay. So from 16 on, you had an idea that this was going to be an end game for you, that you wanted to be a head coach.
Yeah, I would say that I got a taste of it. And after running the summer camps along with my younger brother, I felt, inspired too, like as a leader to just, the way I communicate with other with young athletes and just guiding them through the process of and then just getting a tennis scholarship and being able to go back as an athlete and talk to the younger generation of like how far this sport can take you. I know for sure that I wanted to stay in the sport and coaching was my way to do it.
Absolutely. Speaking of coaching, I want to talk to you about running a Division One program. Is nowadays is like being the CEO of a company. And so I want you to talk to my listeners about what is it like to run a Division One tennis, Power Five tennis program, in terms of just management structure, and people who are in charge of different things. You got recruiting, and you got practice time and all that. Give us a insight on what the management structure is like.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what I can say is I'm grateful that I that I have a master's in business. Because I feel like I use every aspect of my degree and people wouldn't think that that's what happened. But,
Hmm.
people think as a coach, you're out there on the court, 70% of the time. But quite frankly, you're out in the field or on the court about 30% of the time. And the other aspects of it is the recruiting, the managing of travel, the managing of the budget, the culture. There's so many different aspects within coaching. You just think it's, oh, you're just out there teaching tennis, and it's really not that. You're also developing young future leaders. So it's really important that you not just coach them on the court, but like coach them in life as well. So just having that overall balance is, like I said, I'm super grateful that I did, get a master's or a bachelor's degree in business management, because it truly does help me in all different aspects of the game. So
Do you enjoy that part? I know I've spoken to coaches before, particularly who coach at different levels. And at different levels, it's skewed the opposite way. Maybe at a Division III level, you're coaching more and you're not doing as much as administration, but now you're doing more administrative than coaching. Like, was that an adjustment for you? Like, how did you deal with that?
yeah, I mean, the administrative side is the administrative side, the paperwork is the paperwork. For me personally, I love being out there. I love, being on the court, talking with the athletes, being outside, even just like in the sun. Like for me, I prefer to do that. Even when I'm working, sometimes have my laptop out there and not necessarily like in the office. But I do enjoy the recruiting. I enjoy, again, meeting people. That's like a big part for me. Like meeting athletes from all over the world, and talking to parents, talking to families, talking to coaches, traveling to different places to go recruit and to find athletes. The recruiting part is a huge piece, especially at this level. Of course, making sure that you're finding the right fit athletically and academically, and for us, which is a big piece, culturally. So yeah, the recruiting part is a big part. Of course, when it comes to doing the reconciliation of receipts, that's not my most fun area. I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy that as much, but I have to do it. It's a part of the job. So
Right.
yeah, it's a give and take.
Mhm. For both of us, we're working with Gen Z population now. As me as a professor and a coach, you as a coach, but nonetheless, they're the Gen Z population, and they require a lot of different needs that we have to adapt to. I mean,
Yeah.
they are a younger generation. I think about mental health and societal pressures and confidence and the like. And so I remember earlier this season, I was filling in for our varsity coach. And so I was coaching the varsity team. And there was this girl on the varsity team. And, in between points, like it was a competitive match, but she kept getting really upset with herself. And she'd go
Mhm.
over to the bench on a changeover, and, her head was down. And so I would go over there and talk to her and say, like, hey, what's wrong? And, she would get she's just like, I'm so frustrated. I'm not hitting the ball right. And I kept, giving her positive self-talk, like, like, hey, you're a great tennis player. Like, build up your confidence. Like you can play with this person. You can
Yeah.
beat this person, giving her all the things that she needed, that I felt she needed in that moment. And then at the end of the match, I remember she lost the match, but I remember she started to cry, and I started to, talk to her some more, like, give her some confidence and say, listen, you'll get them next time. You're not going to win everything. I mean, in life, you're going to lose some things as well. But you did some things well, and things that we can build off of. I just feel like, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like, what are some things you say and do to kind of guide your student athletes on and off the court?
Yeah. A big part of that, or just kind of what you just described, we see it as well every single day, even in practice. So, something that we focus on a lot is our routines. And we would have each athlete sit down and come up with what works best for them when they're in the red zone. So something, I'll just use an example. Like something that we did last year was we gave them each three cones: a red cone, a yellow cone, and a green cone. And the green cone means that they're out there, they're doing their thing, they're excited, they're playing well, they're feeling confident, they're feeling their best selves, right? Yellow is all right, I'm not feeling my best, but I'm here, I'm present, I'm engaged, and I'm trying, right? And red means not in a good headspace, kind of like what you described. Body language is not that great. Maybe doubting, maybe even having negative self talk. And so we would have them use the cones, but on the cone, they got to write, okay, when you're in the red zone, how do you get out of the red zone into the yellow zone? And then when you're in the yellow zone, how do you get out of the yellow zone into the green zone? And it was like a progressive thing, right? And a lot of times they would equate a lot of things with just being um, not playing well. And sometimes it's not even that they're not playing well. Maybe their competitor is really good, and it makes them feel like they're
Mhm.
not playing well, but they're actually playing well, right? So um, we made them write on the cones, and then during the matches or during practices, when they're in the red cone, they would put the cone on the bench, and that gives us as coaches an indication. Okay, this person needs us. They need us, but also, we need to nudge them to read some of the things that they wrote on the cone of how they can get themselves out of that zone. So the routines for us has been a really big thing in the last couple of months. And it's something that we're really trying hard to develop. And it takes a lot of time. Like the routine in between points, right? They have 20 seconds in between points. So after they lost a point, what do you do? Do you smash your racket? Do you have negative self talk? Or do you go to the fence? You play with your strings, you use your towel, you do your breathing techniques. And then before you step back on the line, you already have a plan of what you're going to do. So that's a routine that we worked on, as well as the in between and the changeover when they're on the bench. What are they doing? Are they reading their journals? Some of the things that they wrote down, that their goals for the day, and what they want to do. A lot of times I catch them all the time because I'm like, coach, I'm not winning. I'm not winning. I'm winning. Okay, let's go to the journal. Did you write down one of your goals today to win? Because you can't control that. You can't control winning or losing, right? You can only control your effort, right, and your attitude that day. So yeah, it's just about the routines. It's about how you as a coach support them, and like you said, giving them positive feedback and just reassuring them on the process and not necessarily the outcome.
And that was I love that to having that experience because oftentimes because tennis is a team sport, but it's an individual sport, I don't think people realize like in team sports, you're out there, on the field yourself too, but you still
Yeah,
have 11 other people or four other people, whatever it is. But in tennis, unless it's doubles, I mean, it really is just you and your thoughts a lot of times. And those players I learned like they look to coaches for those affirmations because sometimes they don't have it in them, or maybe like you said earlier, they don't believe it themselves in that moment and they need a kickstart.
yeah. I mean, I had that 2 weekends ago at our invite where our players, coach, am I playing well? Like I feel like I'm not playing well, and I'm like, I wish I can show you a video of yourself right now inside the match, like you're, and that reassurance. And then it's like once you say you're doing a good job, like keep going. Okay, all right, now the confidence is up. So what we do as coaches is super important. Just kind of how we pour into them. It's important.
Mhm. Well, and I think that speaks to just hold the again back to the whole management structure of the operation and what's required of you, not only to be the CEO of the tennis program, but also too to be that confidant, that person that guides them and encourages them and motivates them as well. So it's so multi-layered just in your leadership position.
For sure.
Do you do you d is tennis fun for you? Like, when you first started playing, it's fun because 'cause you're just playing tennis, and now as you get deeper in it, is it fun?
I truly enjoy it. Like I it's hard and it has its challenges, but I can't really see myself doing anything else like at this magnitude. Like I wake up every day and I'm like, first of all, I go to bed with these players on my mind every single day, right? Every day, every night, it's about them, like, and I think that that's the cool part. Like, you're really having an impact somehow on, um, a group of individuals. And uh, for me, like, I really can't see myself doing anything else, not at this moment. So, yes, I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. I even like to play around a little bit, still. And I just think that it's one of those sports that you can carry on for a lifetime, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, no, it's super fun to me. And I think that that's why, in terms of like my career, everything that I've done thus far has been to get to this point where I'm at right now, and to just, now that I'm here, to live it out and to do the best that I can, like, in this role. So,
Last year I got these notes from a couple of my students. It speaks to what you're saying, but one of the things they said, a note they sent to me, it said, "You made me want to play tennis, and your drills pushed me, but they were fun, and you were my favorite coach this season." And I think that the combination of you can be hard and it can be fun, they can coexist. And I feel
yes.
like, and that's at the high school. I feel like the college level sometimes people don't feel it because there's this business component to it that they don't think the 2 can coexist. Is that just me, or is there some truth to that?
No, there's a lot of truth to that. And, I myself, I see it a lot with other programs, like other tennis programs, like when we go compete. And you see some coaches, and how they address their athletes, and how they, I guess, in their mind, feel like they're motivating their athletes. In my mind, not so much. But um it comes with a level. I feel like, if your players will respect you and allow you to push them, if you give it in return, you know what I mean? So, um for us, we enjoy practice, but we work really hard at the same time.
Mhm,
So there's days when we have the music going. And for some coaches, that's like, there's absolutely no way that we're playing music in practice. And for
mhm,
us, me, I see it as a concentration thing. If you can, still practice at a really high level with the noise. It's just like having fans, out there when you go to a tennis match. Or like this weekend, we were at the Milwaukee Classic, and there was a train going by every 30 minutes, it felt like. And I remember one of our girls playing a young lady, and she lost every single point in her service game when the train was passing by. And and I remember saying to my assistant coach, I said, "This is why we listen to music at practice." you know, you can just tell, like, her concentration just went out the window, because it was like this noise that she's never heard before,
mhm,
coming by. And so, yeah, it's about the right balance. And you can have fun and work hard at the same time, and the result is going to be fun.
mhm.
That's what it's about.
Absolutely. We, we listened to music, as well at practice, and another note, as one of my players, she mentioned that. She said, "Thank you for bringing your speaker to practice and for actually caring about your players." And I think
Yeah.
that's, again, like, a lot of people are hard on Gen Zers because they don't think they are as expressive, or they like to talk, or they are communicative, but they are, you know what I mean? And I feel like if you're doing it the right way, and if you're resonating with them, they give it back, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they can show and speak how they feel about the experience that they're having. So I agree. Like, I think it's about, you gotta care about them. They have to believe that you care about them, because you can be as hard as you want on them if they believe you care about them. If they think it's self-fulfilling, then I think they get defensive.
Yeah, it was so funny because this conversation happened this weekend, right? It was myself and my assistant. And my assistant, she is very to the point, like, very direct. And we were asking our players, so who do you guys think is like more serious? And they were like, you. And I was like, me. I was, and one of my girls, she broke it down. She was like, she said, you know what, coach? It's because a lot of the times you're like right there with us. Like, we're having conversation and, we're relating. And then when you are serious, it's like the scariest thing because, because, one, it doesn't come very often. And two, because you're so relatable, then it's like, whoa, okay, all right, this is what she means business right now, and we need to step up, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
yeah, having that balance is really important.
And I think for the athletes, because they have a lot to deal with now. I mean, there's NIL,
Yeah.
there's branding opportunities, and so even that is skewed like a business side for them too. Like they want to take advantage of these opportunities, and so I'm glad to hear like because it should be fun. Like at the end of the day, like it's tennis and it should be fun, and there's all the things that go along with it. But it, we got to make it fun as well.
Yes, no, 100%.
Okay, so I want to play a game with you. It's called Count to Culture or Court to Culture, leading lessons from tennis. So,
Okay.
um, want to start with return game. How do you respond when life serves you adversity?
Huh. That's a good one. I embrace adversity because that's something that I tell my players on a daily basis. They're going to play matches where it's windy, it's cold, it might be super hot, their opponent might be cheating, right? So or their opponent might be really loud when they're cheering, and they don't like that. Um, and so I tell them, don't let the adversity scare you away, but let it fuel you, right? So you accept it and then let it fuel you to drive you to whatever goals it is that you have. So for me, it's not when life gives me adversity, I definitely try to push. Um, and I know that there's something around the corner, or I'm really close to that one thing that I'm trying to get to. So don't quit, don't give up, just keep pushing.
Okay. All right. Unforced error. What is a leadership mistake you made, and how did you grow from it?
Woo! Leadership mistake that I made. I'm trying to think. You know what? Last year, I would say last year we were playing one of the Big Ten schools, and we started playing outside, and it started raining, and so we had to move indoors. We were leading outside. We were beating them. They definitely weren't an outdoor team. They definitely weren't an outdoor team. So we had a little bit of an advantage, which we're usually not an outdoor team either. But we had an advantage, and it started raining, and the coaches, they came and they were like, all right, well, we can move indoors. We can move indoors in like 10 minutes. We'll talk to the referees. And one thing I didn't do was take the time to think about that decision long enough, because I had an hour and I didn't know. Like I should have read, and I'm really good with pulling out the rule books like in the moment. And I thought we probably would have been better inside if they were, probably because we're an indoor team. I thought we would have been a little bit better, but it was a wrong decision. I should have stayed. We should have stayed and not played them inside, because as soon as we got inside, we never practiced on their courts indoors, and they had like a little bit of spacing issue, but they train there every single day, so they know how to use all the corners of their courts, and we didn't. And yeah, the match like immediately flipped. And that's a match that I feel like we should have had, and that's one that I think about a lot because I made that decision that day. But Yeah, it's a part of it. I mean, I'm sure there's other things that I've done that, you know, as a leader, I had to go back and fix, but that's one I know I can think of right now.
And again, that's just being human. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the evolution of leadership is that it's not gonna always be perfect. Okay. Double strategy. How would you build trust and chemistry in partnerships?
Well, I feel like I do that every day in my current role, just especially with my assistants. I trust them a whole lot, and that was something that I had to learn and grow as a coach from where I started to like where I am now. Because in the beginning, when I got my first head coaching job, I was 25 years old, so it was me just kind of learning like and navigating through everything. And one thing that I had to do was I got a mentor, and that person shared with me, hey, like you're gonna need to delegate. You're going to have to, give up some of the tasks so that you're not like super overwhelmed with everything. And I know like for me right now, like I trust my assistant coaches to run practice or to build the practice plans or to do the recruiting on the first calls. Like that's something that my assistant coach, she takes the lead on. She has those first conversations with the recruits, and she knows what I'm looking for. So it's like, okay, well, this person can have a next conversation with you. Like, so it's something that I've had to do and learn over the years, just, kind of building that up, that side of me.
Okay. 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 Speaking of court surfaces, changing court surfaces. How do you adapt to your leadership? How do you adapt your leadership style across environments?
Well, we play on hard courts all the time, if when it comes to court surfaces. But in terms of different environments, I do find myself being a little bit tougher on the girls when we go outside. Um, like I said, it's not their favorite thing. Again, because we practice so much inside. Of course, we're in Minnesota, so it's cold, and we spend a lot of time indoors. So what I've had to do is either get us to the destination that we're going to play at outdoors, maybe a day or two earlier, at least one day for sure. But if we can get there 2 days earlier, so that they can get a feel for what it's like being outside, but also getting a little bit tough on them in terms of like that adversity aspect of it. It's adversity, and we have to embrace it. Your opponent is also playing outside. It's not just you, right? So we need to change the mindset, and we just need to get prepared mentally to be able to compete outside. It's not that they can't compete outside. It's just a preference thing. And sometimes you don't get everything that you want in life. And so you just have to deal with it and step up and get the job done in those moments. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. Last one for this game. Okay, match point pressure. How do you lead when the stakes are high?
Encouragement, like a lot of encouragement. And I tell my players there is no reward without risk. So on a deuce point, match point, I expect you to play that point big, because at the end of the day, if you don't take the chance, your opponent is going to take the chance first, right? And that's not what we want. Like you can control how you're going to play, right? So you take the chance first before you give them the opportunity to take the chance. So play those deuce point big, go after them, because we play no ad, and at this level there's no ad. So deuce, the next point wins. So it's either you or them. you
Well,
know?
okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We don't have ad at the collegiate level. And that's something that's a huge change for athletes coming in. That's in the junior circuit, they're playing ad, or on the ITF tour, they're playing ad, and then they come here and it's like deuce point. Um, I'm nervous, I'm tight, because it is a pressure point. But it's something that we train. Like we train, we do pressure training, we train for big moments. We actually did that today in practice. Did a little bit of pressure, a little bit of pressure training. So there's no reward without risk.
Yeah, and you see it at the highest level. I mean, match points, I mean, can go on for 20, 30 minutes. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
it's hard to close someone out.
yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen Sabalenka play, but The way she start is the way she's gonna finish.
Yes.
100 miles per hour, she's gonna hit that ball. So there's no pushing with her. There's no, oh, let me just play it safe, and there's none of that. She's going after it, and that's that confidence,
Yeah.
confidence and belief in yourself and in your game. And I think in those moments, that's what we've learned with the universities that are top 10. We're no different to them in terms of the way that we're hitting the ball. They're not blowing us off the court, right? We're there, we're rallying with them. But in big moments and important points, they have a different level of focus. And that's something that we're working on as a team to get better and to be better at. Of just we're playing those big points big. And if we lose the point, okay, next one. We keep going.
And I watched, your team hit live, and because I'm always fascinated by how hard players hit the ball with accuracy. I'm like, they can't be using the same racket I am. I'm like, it's coming at them so fast, but I mean, they're matching power with power, but with
Yeah.
accuracy, like it is such a skill.
Yes.
Um, I'm just curious about, we talk about, working with young athletes, and we know that like athletes express themselves through gear, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
through swag and how they dress and how they
Hmm.
look. Tennis is fashionable at every level, and you see it. Do you encourage that, or how do your athletes, look at fashion and tennis together?
They feed off of me, I'll tell you that. I'm all about the gear. I'm all about the gear. I'm all about the fashion. Game day, I have like my game day outfits and my practice outfits and my travel outfits. But game day, I'm usually in some type of bucket hat with the shoes, like those two things for me have to stand out, right?
Okay.
So, and I mean, of course, like you're working with female athletes, so and tennis is such a stylish, I think it's such a stylish sport. So they're definitely into, oh, coach, like, what are we getting, what are we getting dresses this year, are we getting dresses next year, like that type of stuff. So no, for sure, it's
So they are conscious of, they are about it. Okay. Okay.
are about it. We are about it.
This segment is sponsored by Kowalski's Markets, where it's all about the joy of good food. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up here on this question I ask all my guests. What is a Twin Cities hidden gem, place, or experience that you think more people should know about?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a hidden gem place, but this is a place that I take a lot of my recruits, and the team as well. It's like one of our favorite places, but it's called Edo, and it's downtown Minneapolis. It's close to the bridge, well, one of the bridge. I don't know which one exactly, but um, and my favorite thing to get there is the chicken parm, and then they have a really good dessert. It's a churro cheesecake, and so good.
How do you spell it? Okay, how do you spell that?
It's EATO.
EATO. Edo. Okay,
And if you like chicken parmesan, definitely try that. And
I do.
you have to try the churro cheesecake. They do have other cheesecakes there as well. But the churro cheesecake, it's like it's this big, and it's I think they deep fried, but it's not, it's lovely. You should try it. And so we usually eat there, and then we'll take a walk over the bridge and we'll take photos. So that's something that we enjoy doing. So
Well, coach to coach, I appreciate this conversation. It was so much fun. I couldn't wait to have it with you. And
yeah,
when we were first introduced, I didn't have like the coach to coach idea in mind, but I was like, you know what, this would be really cool to have this discussion
yeah.
um, that with you. So I really appreciate the time. Thanks again for being on Twin Cities Leaders. We appreciate it.
Yes, no, thank you so much. And I hope to see you guys in the spring. Check out Go for Women's Tennis.
Absolutely.
And also, we do have summer camps that we offer. We're going to do a fall tennis camp here coming up shortly in November. So, where you get to work with, this is for juniors, of course. They'll get to work with myself and our other assistant coach, and we run a really fun camp, and we would love to spread the word on that, but also just spread the word on building a community behind our athletes. And they work super hard, and we love to see when fans come out there and just support them. So make sure you're checking out Go for Women's Tennis for any news and updates on the team.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you listening to Twin Cities Leaders. You can find me on Instagram and Spotify and on YouTube as well, and TikTok. I'm on TikTok now too. So I'll see you next week. Thanks again. See ya.